Talked a little bit about economic growth and where Canada compares. Love to get your take on how we compare in terms of taxes and in terms of competitiveness as well, because obviously these are things that Canadians care about as well.
Yeah, Tony. Well, they really ought to care, and I think Canadians do care because they're showing us that jobs in the economy are top of mind for Canadian families. And look, how do you kickstart the economy when you have an economy that is really our country is taking a huge number of immigrants in, and one of the things we have to do is we have to get capital investment into this country. And right now, we've seen a mass exodus of capital investment, and without increased capital, I don't see how our living standards are going to improve. I don't see how incomes are going to improve, and unfortunately. Under the current regime in Ottawa, they've really done a lot of things that have damaged our investment climate. Everything from they took a very stable fiscal framework, and you know better than anyone, Tony. In the last recession in 2008, we were the envy of the developed world for how we had managed our finances, and we've completely ruined that. We had really competitive taxes, and that was really kickstarted by the Jean Chrétien regime and then
Right.
by the regime, really focused on increasing our competitiveness through lower business taxes, lower personal income taxes. That's completely been changed at the federal level and in many provinces. You know, we have a wonderful track record of our natural resource development done in a very environmentally friendly, human rights friendly way. We now have a government that wants to shut in those resources instead of helping the rest of the world. Shut in those resources to the detriment not only of those countries but to the detriment of Canadian well-being. And let's not forget that natural resources account for 50% of our exports.
Mm.
And so if we're going to shut those in, we have to understand that that's going to really have a negative impact on our standard of living. And so there's a lot of things that have to change federally and provincially, but certainly fiscal policy is one, tax policy is the other, reducing red tape. We've got to try and change the international reputation that we have as a country in which you just can't get stuff done.
Right, right. Fraser Institute has always concerned itself with a lot of these issues, and the tax structure is one of them. Do you have, as an organization, some recommendations on where we should go in terms of tax policy?
Yeah, look, I think tax policy is critical not only for ensuring we have the right investment climate, but also for the cost of living. You know, Canadians are signaling that that's their number one concern. Cost of living is the number one concern. And if you go back to 2015 when the government changed federally, what have we seen in Canada? We've seen 86% of Canadian families, middle class families, have seen a massive tax increase. And so, yeah, if we want to reduce the burden on middle class, if we want to reduce the cost of living, one way to do that is, again, we got to address the tax rates on those individuals. And then secondly, I think we have to look at our middle and upper income tax rates. I mean, we can't be a competitive country with a top marginal income tax rate that's 53.5%. And that doesn't include, of course, if you spend your money and then have to pay an additional, in most cases, 12% in sales tax. Look, we're not going to attract the brightest people here if we have a high cost of living and really high tax rates. And so I think that's absolutely critical to address. I don't have any expectation that this government's going to do so going forward, but I think as a country, we've got to get our tax system changed in a way that really incentivizes people to do productive things, to work hard, to invest, to take entrepreneurial risk, and to stay in Canada and do all those wonderful things and not look for opportunities elsewhere, which is what's going on right now.
Because we really are engaged in a war for talent, right? And if we don't have the right policies to keep bright and dedicated people here, they'll just go elsewhere.
Well, exactly, and I think that's increasing as the makeup of our economy changes, as we get into more high tech industries and investments. Those tend to be significantly more mobile than other types of investments. So yeah, if you're a young entrepreneur starting in Canada, you might get to a certain size, but at some point there are so many different advantages of going elsewhere, including down south to the United States, and that's really what we have to fix. I mean, we're a small open economy. Labor is mobile, investment is mobile, and so if we don't get policy right here, unfortunately, our best, our brightest entrepreneurs end up going elsewhere. And that's, Tony, that's the message I'm hearing all across Canada. I have the privilege of traveling.
Right.
I go to Calgary, I go to Ontario, I go to Atlantic Canada. It's the same message everywhere. People are really concerned about our investment climate.